Social media can be an absolute gift to a professional wrestler these days, a free and easy to use way to shill merch, put yourself over, and block people for lightly criticizing you. As we have seen time and time again, however, social media in the wrong wrestler's hands is a recipe for disaster, and often hilarity. Sometimes these online disasters aren't funny and do have very real and far-reaching consequences, mind you, but sometimes they're just really funny. So change your password, switch to private, and join me at Adam Pacitti from Cultaholic Wrestling as we look at the 10 biggest wrestling social media disasters. Join us. Number 10, Only Love HH. Where does one start with Hulk Hogan's Twitter accounts? Enigmatic and easily duped, the Hulkster is a must follow because you never know what the hell he's going to do. Past classics include him retweeting pictures of serial killers and other horrid people from history who he believed to be relatives of fans, confusing Bret Hart with somebody's Uncle Tim, sharing inappropriate pictures of his daughter Brooke, sending out the word help, erroneously thinking Bam Margera was dead, and, well, I could go on all day, couldn't I? Hogan is one star you can tell does all of his own tweeting, and while some of it is incredibly funny, goodnight Hulkamaniacs and jabroni marks, etc., some of it should be used as evidence as to why OAPs who have spent their lives getting hit in the head probably shouldn't have access to the internet. A bit like that time he tried to clear his name in the aftermath of his racism scandal and retweeted somebody saying that then President Barack Obama uses the N-word and is applauded, but when Hogan does it, he's fired. Oh, brother. Luckily for him, Hulk can get away with most things by ending his tweets with Only Love HH. Number 9, Little Van Vader. It's time! It's time! It's time to erase the picture of Big Van Vader's willy from your mind. The explicit photo that was shared on his account in March of 2016, just days before he was set to induct Stan Hansen into the WWE Hall of Fame, stayed online for a whole 10 minutes before being deleted. Some wrestlers have such an aura about them that really they shouldn't use social media, or if they do, they should tightly control what they post. Vader was one of those people, and though he apologized for the tweet and claimed it to be the work of a vengeful ex, the sight of the Mastodon in nothing but a pair of furry boots was quite the credibility killer. The former WCW and IWGP heavyweight champion caused an online stir months later when he criticized a polarizing viral clip of a sequence between Will Ospreay and Ricochet. The heated back and forth with Ospreay eventually led to a match between the two because, of course it did, which Vader won. Lol. Number 8, the Lunatic Troll. Before arriving on WWE television as one-third of The Shield, there were tentative plans for Dean Ambrose to make his debut via a feud with Mick Foley. The hardcore legend and lunatic fringe had caused a buzz when they had a staged confrontation in a hotel lobby during WrestleMania 28 weekend, and Ambrose was instructed to keep that buzz going by attacking Foley via social media. Regrettably, this attempt at a worked shoot backfired when Ambrose tweeted out some very close-to-the-bone stuff about Foley's family. Mick had specifically asked him not to do so, but Ambrose was in Europe when Foley was texting him and because of his crummy phone didn't get the messages. So he persisted, which only sought to wind Cactus Jack up even more. When Ambrose returned to the US, he realized what had happened and apologized profusely since the tweets had upset Mick so much that he didn't want to work a program or match with him anymore. They eventually cleared the air, but WWE nixed the match when Foley failed physical tests. John Moxley doesn't tweet very much these days. Number 7, social jobbers. If you get to WWE via Tough Enough, odds are that you're already going to be up against it with those in the locker room. Whenever anyone has previously come from that reality-based competition or something like the Diva Search, existing superstars are routinely envious of the newcomer getting a free ride and not paying their dues like they did. Because of this, the rookie better watch what they say and do. And tweet. Not too long after winning a $250,000 one-year WWE contract by coming first in the 2015 version of Tough Enough, Josh Bredel angered his would-be peers by sending a tweet that referred to the social outcast stable as social jobbers. Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes were among those to react strongly, with KO sarcastically commenting on the terms the veteran chose to use and claiming that people like him disappear quickly from the business, while Cody told him to enjoy dressing in the hall and intimated that he was banned from the locker room. Josh never did make it to WWE TV before being released and claimed later that he was, in fact, temporarily banned from the NXT locker room as a result of his faux pas, and also got yelled at by the Outcasts and Mark Henry in Wrestlers Court. Number 6. Havoc. Many wrestlers have had opportunities evade them or been on the end of disciplinary action when dodgy old comments or social media posts come to light many years after they were made. This happened to former TNA Knockouts champion Jessica Havoc at the worst possible time, while she was literally in the ring at the WWE Performance Center during her WWE tryout in June 2015. Twitter users unearthed the old tweets, which contained racist and homophobic language, including one aimed at WWE veteran Mark Henry. Havoc had looked good in the tryout to that point and was probably on her way to getting signed when they were brought to WWE's attention. In the end, she didn't end up getting offered a deal because of the blowback from the controversy. She attempted an apology after, claiming not to remember half the stuff she sent, saying that she was young and immature at the time, and that an old boyfriend used to play on her phone, and so on. In the end though, there's no excuse for this sort of thing, and if you make these types of comments, regardless of your age or whatever, you have to own it, or at least have the sense to delete it long before anyone cares. Number 5, the architect of his own downfall. A PR nightmare for PG WWE came in February of 2015 when one of its top stars, Seth Rollins, was hacked just as an episode of Raw was going off the air. A naked selfie of NXT trainee Zara Schreiber was posted to the architect's Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram accounts, though they were deleted shortly after. Not too long later, Seth's soon-to-be ex-fiancée tweeted out 2 pictures of a naked Rollins alongside the caption, "Zahara?" while in a separate post seemed to take responsibility for the leaks. It was a bad look and led to much mockery, but Seth, who issued an apology for the photos being shared without his consent, wasn't punished. In fact, 6 weeks later, he won the WWE title for the first time at WrestleMania. Things ended much worse for Schreiber, however, as fans did some digging and discovered previous racist and homophobic social media posts, which led to her release. Seth continued to stand by her side in the immediate aftermath, but the couple broke up a few months later. Number 4, sky's the limit, not 140 characters. One of the biggest beefers in the Twitter game is Rebby Hardy, the wrestler and manager formerly known as Rebby Sky, who is now best known as the wife of Matt Hardy and mother of their children. She is far from afraid to voice her opinion or challenge her perceived enemies, and often launches attacks filled with 4-letter words, strong words, naughty words, F words. Some of her past targets have included Ashley Mazzaro, Awesome Kong, SoCal Val, Sunny, and Sid Vicious, aka my Dream Survivor Series team. In more recent times, Rebby has taken shots at Matt's current employer, AEW, after he had that terrifying fall in that all-out match with Sammy Guevara, and has gotten into it with Jim Cornette, another wrestling personality noted for his measured responses. By the way, Rebby, if you're watching and want to shout at me about anything that I've said here, my handle is @Tom Campbell. Number 3, the Big Band Boski. If you're a former Attitude Era star who looks even remotely like you did in the 90s, you can still make a small fortune in wrestling on the Indian convention/autograph circuits. Or you can become a mental conspiracy theorist with views and opinions so outlandish that you get yourself banished from Twitter. That was the option chosen by everyone's favorite adult sports entertainment star, former WWE Intercontinental Champion Val Venus. The Big Val Boski hasn't really been involved in wrestling since a 2010 stint in TNA, instead dedicating his time to smoking and advocating for the legalization of marijuana while falling deeper and deeper into the far-right brain-melting abyss. Val has shared countless conspiracy theories and highly controversial tweets, most of which were ignored by the wrestling community and anyone with the ability to count without using their fingers. In 2020, however, Venus incurred the wrath of fans and professionals when he went in on AEW's transgender performer Nyla Rose, with both Cody and Dustin Rhodes leaping to her defense and condemning Towelboy's comments. His account was deleted by Twitter later in the year for spouting mad bollocks that constantly breached their policies. Number 2, Shoot Hoot. Carl Anderson has been an active and often controversial presence on social media over the years. While most of the time he's talking about how much money he made for a particular show or calling somebody a mark or both, in late 2020 the Machine Gun's Twitter blew up after his hot Asian wife, his words people, not mine, leveled some pretty heavy accusations towards towards him. Christy Allegra alleged that he had cheated on her and claimed that he had a problem with alcohol. The posts were accompanied by texts allegedly sent to her from Anderson, as well as a picture of the former WWE champion passed out asleep, with the word cheater written all over him in marker pen. She reiterated her claims about 6 months later, though it seems they've resolved their issues despite the embarrassing public spat. Anderson found himself in hot water with wrestling fans a few months later too, when he replied to a tweet about WWE providing counseling services for talent following the death of Daphne Unger with, "They suck, bro." Some felt it wasn't the time or place to comment on his old employer, regardless of how he had been let go by them a year earlier. Number 1. The Trials and Tribulations of Party Marty Jannetty. If you look up Trainwreck in the dictionary, you might just find a picture of Marty Jannetty. Unless that is, you're using Marty Jannetty's dictionary, in which case you'll probably either find some mysterious white powder in there, or realise that instead of a dictionary, you're actually looking at the May 1985 edition of Hustler magazine. There's really no other way to say this, but in 2017, the former rocker looked like he was off his rocker when he posted about his estranged daughter on Facebook, claiming that a DNA test had proven that they weren't related before philosophically pondering the quandary that now presented him. I mean, she is hot, but she was once daughter. You can appreciate the pickle that he was in. He later claimed that he was hacked, but 3 years later posted on the social network again seeking advice about a mother-daughter combination that wanted to party with Marty. Months after that, Jannetty set alarm bells ringing again by seemingly confessing to a murder decades ago. Christ. He tried to calm the storm by saying that the post was the beginning of a crazy wrestling storyline, because Carney's gonna Carney, but it was just the latest in a long line of crazy ramblings.